October 1st, 2003, 2 weeks after the killing of Dr. Mbai, Collins Keture Kilel, a guard, Ramadhan Karumo Otieno and Moses Gitonga Mbuthi were arraigned in court in connection with the murder of the university lecturer. Collins Keture Kilel was supposed to be the man manning the lecturer's compound at the time of the Don's killing. Collins was nowhere to be seen immediately after the shooting. He only showed up late and told police investigators he had fallen down the stairs in the servants' quarters and had gone home to have a change of clothes. Mbai's widow recalls that the man they called friend and son, the night guard, was now in court to face charges of killing the husband.
He was very remorseful the first time because he could tell when he went to court. He even wanted to cry. But as things went by time, they became very arrogant in court. They would look at us, they would laugh when we were in court. In fact, most of the time I would see my daughter really affected.
Ramadhan Karumo Otieno and his co-accused, Moses Gitonga Mbuthi, were arrested after Collins Keture Kilel reportedly confessed to taking part in the killing. The trial had its own challenges, but it is how Justice Kalpana Rawal handled it that raised serious concerns among family members and the public seeking to know how the lecturer died. With all the police officers working on the murder case now on interdiction, witnesses were treated to writing further statements. The video footage with the suspected killers was not part of the prosecution's evidence, but surprisingly, the murder suspects were the very people who appeared in court.
These steps, immediately after the conviction of every suspect, two tapes were being produced. One was taken to CID headquarters, and one was taken to the Commissioner of Police. And one was with me, which was the one which was with me was the small tape. That is now the main tape.
The suspect will later claim they were coerced and confessions obtained through torture, despite the fact that it was strikingly similar to some of the findings by the detectives.
These people said they had a meeting in several places. In the first place, they meet at Ngong Hills Hotel. Then they came to Parliament. They went to Kawangware. And then they went to Kawangware, the place where they lived. So, and that is a location where we used to move all the way through. And all these people show us from Kawangware to Adam Saket, and then finally at Parliament building. The suspect, the first suspect, who is the third suspect now, Karume, she had a homestead. That's the day I believe it. And he demonstrated how he went in, where they found the professor when he was sitting reading a newspaper in the house, how he grabbed the stool when that person was shot. So that's the time I believe it in my heart. It's true. These are the real persons who killed this person. And my heart became so hardened.
What stood out was a small chair that Crispin Mbai used to defend himself against the killers before they shot him. One of the suspects in the confession talks of the small chair. A scenes of crime investigator also noticed the chair when he visited the scene. The burden of proof now shifted from the defense to the prosecution. The prosecution largely relied on identification of suspects. The court came to the defense. The identification parade was poorly conducted. Collins Kilel told the court that on the material day, Dr. Crispin Mbai was killed. He had left for Adams Arcade Shopping Center to buy eggs. When heading back to the estate, Collins claims he noticed Norman Nyaga's vehicle leaving the estate in high speed. At the compound of the doctor was a crowd of people. Collins was the man who cleaned up the scene of the killing. Ramadhan Karumo Otieno, the second accused, told the trial judge that on the material day, he was at Kawangware Sports Ground. Ramadhan did not tell the trial judge where he was when the doctor was killed. Despite two witnesses pointing him out from a parade conducted by the police at a police station after being arrested, the trial judge bought his side of the story. Ramadan claims one of the witnesses had seen him at the police station before the ID parade was conducted. Ramadan claims he was the only suspect among many that was wearing a jacket.
In a record time of 3 weeks or less, during the time when we were organizing the funeral arrangements, there was already compelling evidence to show that pointed to individuals who had committed the crime, who had actually carried out the crime.
His co-accused Moses Gitogo Mbuthi told the trial magistrate that on the material day, he was on Gitanga Road heading back from Kawangware. It is the statement of a driver of a matatu that was allegedly used as a getaway vehicle that placed the 3 suspects near Adams Arcade, but one that the trial judge paid little attention to. The driver told the police investigators he saw the 3 men approach his vehicle while running. They all looked nervous and acted nervous before asking him if he was headed to Kawangware. Who are these 3 people showed the doctor 3 times at close range without stealing a thing from him. Was this a normal robbery or someone wanted the doctor dead?
Claims or explanations that it was political, you know, that there was a domestic family thing, that there were personal, maybe rivalries at a certain level with somebody. But the one that came out smoking all the time was there was a political motive because of the committee that he was chairing, which was very heated about devolution and to what extent government should be devolved. Just that, because he was a lecturer, he was a professor at the University of Nairobi. There was not much else in his environment or his tracks that showed he was associated with any particular offenses or criminal activity.
After 2 years on trial, the media frenzy around the court proceedings died down. The trial court would later announce its verdict that the prosecution had failed to place the 3 at the scene of the killing. Justice Kalpana Rawal arrived at a verdict that the family says was anticipated.
All the people who investigated this case, they were all suspended from their work. None of them concluded the case.
The prosecution had put forward a weak case. The verdict, not guilty. All the 3 suspects were set free. The trial came to an end on the 28th of April, 2005.
We may not necessarily see justice happen because of so many cases that have come to pass, and we haven't seen that happen. But because, I think God is the center of our life as a family, we made peace with it. And like for me, when people ask me, how do you feel about those people who killed your dad? I always say I have honestly forgiven them.
One of the suspects whose name was repeatedly mentioned during the murder trial escaped to Tanzania. A Kenyan reporter tracked him down to mines in southern Tanzania. The man declined to talk. The story of the doctor's killing came to an end. The murder file of Dr. Crispin Mbai has since been closed. His killers are still at large. His family has now somewhat moved on.
I thank God that I am at home now. Although my children are suffering, my family are suffering, I used to be a soul winner, but I thank God I'm alive and I'm proceeding. We were 6 police officers who were charged. And among those, all of them were returned back to duty. It's only me who was charged, and I was discharged from the service.
I just miss having someone to just go and pick his mind about being the one that followed development studies in the family. I miss having someone to pick his brain about it. Say, Dad, what do you think? So, yeah.
It's my hope that the truth can be known. Even if those people are not going to be jailed, I would really want the truth to be known because it would really set us free.
You let the true judge, who is God, handle the whole issue.